I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. I've got Jack Matt, a Liverpool fan from the Anfield Road. He's here to talk about West Ham Liverpool. Jack, how are you doing, mate? Mad season for you, lads.
Yeah, we were speaking in the green room where we made just before we come on air, and as we'll discuss tonight, Liverpool and West Ham started the season quite bad, in all honesty, and it's kind of trickled through to the end of the season. We've improved ever so slightly in recent weeks, but we're miles from it this season.
Yeah. Obviously, last season was a mad game. If you remember that game, it was 3-2. There was a lot of corners, a lot of set pieces, a lot of fouling on Alisson, from Antonio. What are you expecting? We will get into it a bit further into the stream, but what are you expecting from West Ham on Wednesday, from what you've seen recently?
Always what you're going to get with West Ham. When I think of West Ham, when I've spoken to you over the years, mate, it's a physical, dominating performance, aerial bombardment, but in a good way, because it's still a tactic that Liverpool, and especially this season, I think users neutrals have watched Liverpool from and looked at, we'll beat City one week, beat them at Anfield 1-0, then go to Forest away, get beat 1-0. It was so inconsistent, but I think early and just defensively, really, Liverpool have massively struggled. I think you West Ham fans probably look to the midfield as being the issue, but even it's a big summer in the next 12 months. If Liverpool get the midfield sorted, I still think there's quite a lot of work to do from a defensive point of view as well, coming in and out.
I'll be honest with you, I've been quite surprised at Liverpool, how sort of inconsistent they have been, considering last few years they've been challenging the league with Manchester City for a long time and basically gone all the way to the end of the league with them, and then this season it's just like they can't string like 2 wins together. Then they don't like anything else, and it's just hasn't been really great. But I'm going to get into it with you. Might as well talk about him. Is Liverpool and Klopp. Jack, talk to me about Klopp basically. How did Liverpool fans perceive him? Obviously, I remember doing a preview with you this season at Anfield, doing the reverse fixture, and you said to me the fans will give him time because of what he's done. How do they see him now? You're on mute, Jack.
Same as Per, mate, in all honesty. I think I don't know what it is with West Ham fans in terms of social media presence, but there is probably a massive divide. You get your absolute silly sausages on Twitter from Liverpool's fans, obviously demanding change. And of course, expectations. Every football club has expectations. And anyone saying that they've seen a drop-off from Liverpool competing for 4 competitions going into this season, they're telling absolutely porcupines, in all honesty. Yes, the division season midfield players getting older, but the sheer drop-off is unprecedented. It's all right when you're Manchester City, when you can field your second 11, that could probably easily get into the top 4 and probably win all the domestic trophies anyway. But we've still got a rebuilding stage, mate. I will continue to back Klopp for what he's done for Liverpool Football Club, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Built us up. It was 30-year wait for the league title. The expectations, managers have whittled under that pressure. And even 3 European finals in 5 seasons. Your lads have been on a magical European adventure over the last couple of years, and that's what football fans, it's all about. Yes, you'd like to win every single competition, but you've got to be realistic. When you're coming up against a team like Real Madrid, they are the king daddies of Europe anyway. And if there's one team that you don't really want to get beat by, but if you look at it and go, it's Real Madrid, it's Real Madrid.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. I hear you. I'll be honest, I'm quite surprised the way it has gone, as I just said, with Liverpool. Why is it defensively with you, or is it midfield, or is it the loss of Mane? What actually is the root of the problem why you haven't clicked into gear this season and sort of gone up another level?
Yeah, I've never bought into that Sadio Mane comparison because
Yeah.
I think you've seen, and West Ham fans seen from a neutral standpoint, when Luis Diaz did come in the January window last year, took
Yeah.
the Premier League by storm. Terrorised City in the FA Cup final as well, Chelsea in the FA Cup final as well. So, and he obviously suffered that injury this season. So we've got Darwin Núñez, who's what everyone thinks about Darwin. He's a very talented player. He's quite raw, very raw. I think if you go around Europe, 23-year-old, I don't think, apart from Erling Haaland or a Kylian Mbappe, you're not really going to find the finished product really. But it's the midfield, mate. In all honesty, your lads with Souček. I've been watching a couple of shows this season of you, and the drop off in Souček's quality is quite mad. In all honesty, when I've watched his, because I still think he's a good player, but he's not really hit the heights in which he's seeing. But for Liverpool, mate, we know Liverpool over the last 4 or 5 year period is when Liverpool have had legs. The ferocious nature Liverpool play with the fullback down the left back. Trent pushes on. But with the inability of not having a capable six, obviously Gino Wijnaldum left the football club due to obviously wanting too much in terms of his wage packet. Didn't replace him. But yeah, we've got no legs, movements, and when as you've seen over the last couple of years, mate, Liverpool playing a high line.
Yeah.
When you've got no midfield, that high line can easily get bypassed, and that's something that you will look forward to. From a home team's perspective of getting balls over the top, Liverpool have really struggled with that.
Are you searching for a defensive midfielder then, Liverpool?
Yes, I'd say easily a six that can play 8. Probably 2-8 as well, either side, left and right. Henderson not got legs anymore. I think he'll still play at the football club, but I think he will eventually replace James Milner's position.
Jack, I think you know what I'm going to say, but could you see Liverpool going in for Declan?
Yeah, me and you have had this debate for as long as time since we've been doing shows, mate. I love him. You know my admiration for Declan Rice. Obviously, the contract, it will be interesting. It'll cost a respected amount of money because you look at a certain Calvin Phillips, the fee. I don't know if he had a buyout or he went for the big fee. And as we know, with every English player in round Europe anyway, they're going to be commanding a big fee. He's got the right attributes in terms of being a leader. You've seen in Europe last year, I was watching all your European games, coming in that tunnel, fuming at the referee. That just shows the character of the lad. A lot of players would be quite quiet, but he's still a young lad. It's having that burst of pace. That's Liverpool haven't got that. I think I've watched Declan Rice so many times this season, whether that be alongside Paqueta, whether that be alongside obviously Souček or whoever it is. He's got that burst of pace and his willingness to break forward as well. But of course, his main attribute as a player is obviously his ball retention, ball recovery is absolutely exceptional for a player of his age.
Yeah, I think listen. Don't get me wrong. I don't want Declan to go, but he like teams are going to be looking at him, and like if Liverpool are looking for a 6, I think he's the sort of person that they could have, like who could sort of come in. Obviously, he's worth a lot of money to us, like, and he's worth a lot of money to someone who wants to buy him. But I do look at Liverpool this year. For me personally, and I just think the inconsistency of the league, not just Liverpool, just the league as a whole. Like West Ham should be where they are. I look at Brighton, who have just shot up like from nowhere. Brentford, another team. Villa, look at Villa. What Villa
Leicester as well. I think that team's better than it actually is.
Yeah, and it's just one of them ones. But obviously, how do you sort of look at what is the aim for the rest of this season before we move on? Like for Liverpool, what is the what's the goal? That sort of thing.
Top 4. I know it's out of the realms of possibility. We are 9 points behind Newcastle, and I think Newcastle have been saying it for the last couple of months now. I think Newcastle and Manchester United will get top 4. But as we've seen with Leicester, Arsenal in previous seasons, teams can buckle under the pressure. I know they had an emphatic win against Tottenham, but that's Tottenham. That's what they do. So as we all know, and surprise, we've got them in a couple of days anyway, and you just know you're gonna turn up to Anfield and play like prime Barcelona, just sitting behind the ball. and
agree.
not be a shade of what they were this week. But yeah, it's top four, mate. We're not like an Arsenal for like the last 20 years. When you're in under Wenger, you go into the competition, you don't expect to win it. The expectation levels, but of course, as I said, Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp knows. We all know, every Liverpool fan up and down the land, that the sheer neglect in terms of not getting adequate midfield signings, not just last season, but for the last 2-3 seasons, the age of the age profile of that midfield and certain players in this team has very much depreciated over time. So it's that really, mate. And if we do miss out on top four, I'd say obviously it's not ideal, but Europa League. The finals in Dublin, which would be mad. We've got to get there first anyway, but as you can imagine, all the Irish Neds descending on Dublin would be a bit of a party, just to say the least.
I would say that, yeah, I would agree. Let's move on, Jack, to what's your thoughts on West Ham this season as a whole? For me, as a West Ham fan, it's been inconsistent for me, and it's been a team, for me personally, that I looked at and I think there's bits missing. Like, where it ain't the same vibe as it was last season. Recently, in recent form, we've started to hit the heights a little bit over the last sort of 4 or 5 games. Excusing the Newcastle game, but what's your thoughts on West Ham, mate?
Disappointed me. You know, I jump into your shows throughout the season and got quite a lot of West Ham fans. Similar with us, mate. We did start the season off bad, but you're still on a European adventure. I'd love you to win it. I think you should. I'll be disappointed if you don't. But even from a tactical sense as well, with David Moyes, he's got a player like Lucas Paqueta from Lyon last season. We've seen this weekend, he had a tremendous performance, but it's just about getting the best out of him. I think he should be getting more to that team. For me, and that's where you do analyse certain managers. You look at Eddie Howe when he was at when he come to Newcastle, he took a year out from his time at Bournemouth. And I don't think Moyes has really had a proper sabbatical where he's actually analysed his tactics, come back to the drawing board and come with fresh ideas. It's been a case of what he was doing for 10 years at Everton Football Club across the park. Yes, it was his team against the world and everyone hates him, but David Moyes is a tactic. And we only have to look at the Premier League as well, mate, in chat. The Premier League is... In another 20 years, you're literally going to have a billionaire owner. Every single club will. Look at Unai Emery. He's took them from the bottom 4, bottom 5, all the way until 6 points off Europe. So it can be done. And look at Eddie Howe now. He's revolutionised his game. Yes, he spent money, but it's not a case of these managers, they've spent money and not really got the best out of the squad. They know what they want in terms of their philosophy and implementing it. I think David Moyes... I think he will go. If he keeps you in the top, if he keeps you in the league, I think he will eventually go because, you know me, and we know a certain manager in Reims in France. He's a massive advocate for West Ham. Just give a coach. There's so many talented coaches out there that deserve an opportunity. And
do you think he's reached his ceiling though, like at West Ham? Like, do you think how can I put this? Like, because for me personally, Jack, I look at David Moyes and I go, this man has took us as far as he can. As in, like, fair enough, he's got us to European semi-finals, at present. But West Ham could be so much bigger than that. Like, if they had the right manager and the right recruitment and a structure like that could like sort of be self-sustaining, a bit like Brighton, basically. West Ham could go on to finish in the top 6, even try and compete for the top 4. I don't think top 4's ever at the realms of possibility in West Ham because you just never know. But
look at last year, mate. He's weren't that far off it.
And like, do you think like Moyes? Do you think it would benefit West Ham for a change of manager, or do you think Moyes being there is sort of West Ham where West Ham are at level-wise?
When you get David Moyes, you see him at Everton. I think a lot of your Hammers did. You get what you get with David Moyes. He's not going to play expansive football. It's not going to revolutionise Declan Rice into a ball playing six and like a Revista, like classic Barcelona midfielder. And for me, I compare David Moyes with Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
I warned all my Leicester mates, not to YouTube and that, when you got him. Yes, he won a trophy or two, which is fantastic. But as we've seen this season, he's very set in his ways, as is I think David Moyes is as well.
Yeah.
You watch him in interviews, he bites back quite quick. And yeah, Jurgen Klopp does that, but Jurgen Klopp's won trophies at Liverpool. Pep Guardiola wins trophies. Unai Emery's won trophies. And top level coaches, they back it up with what they've won. Like, to say the least, you look at the talent pool currently that is on offer in the majority of the Premier League teams. Yes, it's risky, but any managerial appointment for any club or even signings is always going to carry risk. And look at Aston Villa's risk. Bringing in Unai Emery, they backed their man, got rid of Steven Gerrard, who he's a good 20 years off management, really. He's got to properly get his backside into gear because it probably won't even be 20 years. It's probably going to be a lot more. If the managerial job did pop up at Liverpool, he should be nowhere near it.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah, it is an interesting one for me. Like, it's good to have an opposition fan on who can sort of tell me from the outside looking in. Like, for me personally, I look at West Ham and I think a lot of West Ham fans, including myself, would have said if we would have finished top 10 this year and won the conference, that is a successful season. The way the season has gone, i.e., fighting relegation, like literally some of the football we've played has been borderline shocking. But someone said it to me on a space on Twitter, and like, he knows who he is, Kane. Yeah, he's called Kane, and he turned around and said to me, "West Ham will grind games out under Moyes. Like, that's one thing he will do." Like, when there was a lot of talk about Rafa Benitez coming to the club, and there was a lot of talk about Moyes getting sacked. I think it was a lot of reasons why we didn't do that is because there was no one better than what we had, and if we're going to go light for light and take him out and put someone else in who's the same man, there really is no point. Do you know what I'm saying? So. I look at West Ham for me, and I think we can do a lot better. But someone said to me, if we end up winning the trophy this season and we finish 15th, then it really doesn't matter. Like, because someone actually said to me, he said, James, when they win a trophy, any trophy, who really cares about where you finish in the league? Like, if Liverpool won the Champions League in 2005 or whatever it was, and where did no one cares where Liverpool finished in the league because they won the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I just wonder what you think on that, Jack.
What's the thing, no, mate? You sit there, and the majority of West Ham fans sit there for 38 game seasons and watch an archaic game of football. Really, that's what I watch West Ham. I think you look at a player like Ben Rahman, and whatever anyone thinks, he's a very talented player. I think under the right manager. You look at Jared Bowen's development this season. Yes, he's had his injuries, but I would have anticipated him to really kick on this year again, to have back-to-back good seasons. Even the signing of a striker. I've spoken to you for the best part of the last 3-4 years. West Ham have needed a striker for a very long time to help Antonio. In all honesty, you look at getting Schumacher. What's happened there?
Yeah,
he's not even getting a game for you. I don't know if he's been injured.
Yeah, he's just picked up an injury, but he hasn't been. Let's put it this way: for his first season, he hasn't been great. Like, he hasn't been amazing. Put it like that.
Yeah, but that comes down to the coach, mate. That's his job, and that's. You look at Haller at West Ham as well. You get certain players, and he doesn't know how to actually get the best out of them. That's part of being a manager, or a head coach, or your technical staff. If a player doesn't work, you figure a plan. Same with Darwin Núñez. Yes, he's not working currently, but Jurgen Klopp spoke this week. Eventually, he's a long-term plan, and he will be starting for Liverpool. It's just going to take him a while to very much adapt to the philosophy of the club and obviously the language barrier as well. But yeah, it's especially London, mate. I always say, being a London club, all the European teams. You look at Paqueta, he was made up. He was like, I'm going to London, the capital as well. West Ham, massive history as well in the Premier League and round Europe. So he knew exactly where he was going. So yeah, it's why not push the boat out? You as fans have got, of course, like I said at the top of the show, you've got to have ambitions. Every fan has ambition, and you don't really want to be having the ambition of being a top 10 team, because as we've seen this season, mate, it's a very dangerous game because you're looking from 12th to 20th. Anyone, it's a free for all this season.
Yeah, it is. I totally agree with you, mate. I really do. Right, we'll move on to this, Jack, which is team lineup. Give us your thoughts on your team lineup, because obviously I see at the weekend that Jota played. He scored a couple of goals.
Yeah.
What are you expecting on Wednesday night as in team lineup for you boys?
We'll obviously go with Alisson Becker. I'll go through. I think it will be an unchanged lineup than what we did with Forest. I think that's like the second or third time that Liverpool have done that in recent weeks. And no surprise that we've actually got back-to-back results, which I think if we are to get a result tomorrow, or this week, midweek anyway, it's going to be probably the first time we've done it this season, back-to-back results, which is mad. But that just indicates how poor Liverpool's season has been in the Premier League. But in terms of Alisson, it'd be Trent. But as you'll see at the game midweek, mate, Trent has done basically what John Stones and Zinchenko have done. Liverpool transition. We play a 4, but then we transition into a 3 at the back, and then Trent goes alongside Fabinho in the 6, and it gives him a lot more license to very much start pinging balls in and around. And so it'd be Trent, Canate, Van Dijk, Andy Robinson would transition to that left centre half position as well. I anticipate Jordan Henderson to start again, Fabinho, Curtis Jones, young lads. Obviously, if you dwell too much on Twitter, there's he's not got the biggest fan base, especially on Twitter, but he's performed well, and everyone goes, "Oh, he's a Scouse lad, of course." Everyone will be backing him, but at the end of the day, he's had his injuries last year, and I'd much rather Curtis Jones get an opportunity than that. Ox and Naby Keita, so we'll be starting, and then it'll be Salah, Cody Gakpo, and Jota. Really, mate, leading the line. Cody Gakpo, an excellent addition. He's the long-term successor to Roberto Firmino. Captain of PSV, he's really hit the ground running. I think the metric of the modern day football fan, whether that be it mainly goes on Twitter anyway, or social media, is if a player's not got a hat-trick in his first game, he's terrible. But in terms of in terms of the eye test, when you actually analyse a player's performance, it's not just all about goals and assists. It's about putting the shift in and really having that understanding of a tactical understanding of the game, because he's exceptional. And Salah, in what is probably, people are suggesting, neutrals is one of his worst seasons. He's not been on it, but it's his, in terms of goals and assists, it's his second most popular season in the 6 years spell he's had at Liverpool. So he's not been too bad. You do wonder what Salah would be doing if he had a team that was capable of helping him in the league, mate. But yeah, and Jota, very strange one this season. Yes, he's been out and injured, but I think he went for a 30-game spell of not scoring a goal for Liverpool, and obviously coming into a good bit of form in the last 2 games, 2 doubles. He seems to be finding his groove eventually, mate.
He does love a goal against us, I must admit, Jota. Something you just said there about Trent, and someone just brought it up in my chat, is that where Trent's moving into midfield, we see that before with Arsenal the other week. When we played Arsenal the other week, we was 2-0 down in the first 10 minutes because Arsenal were very, very good. But Tierney, from the left-hand side, was coming inside, overloaded the midfield, and West Ham were having problems. West Ham nullified that problem in the second half and played a lot better. I think if that's what you're saying to me, that Trent's going to come inside and basically be a nuisance inside, then that's going to have to, West Ham are going to have to use pace on that left-hand side. And I don't think Ben Rama would be the man, even though I back Ben Rama up. I don't think Benny could be the man for the pace factor. I think Maxwell Cornet, if he's fit and he's ready, he's a sort of outlet that you want, because if West Ham can turn the ball over,
it's transitions, isn't it?
Right. If West Ham can turn the ball over, Trent's going to keep being consistently out of position. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the left hand side, they're all going to have to move over. I'll go through my team. It's an interesting one with me because West Ham obviously played Sunday. They won pretty well. For me, it's an interesting one because West Ham are obviously thinking about staying up. I think we're pretty much there. Right?
I think a result for you, if you can get it this week, mate, it will, for me, keeps you safe. I think you're like 8 or 9 points ahead of Diev. We'll get to them in a minute anyway. But yeah, you should be good for me.
But so I'm gonna go Fabianski in goal. Kufal, who was excellent the other day, or Sufal, as everyone likes to remind me. Nath Aguerd, Kurt Zuma. I think Cresswell plays in this game. But the only problem is with Cresswell is the pace factor. Whoever's playing on the right-hand side, right wing, if that is Salah, then he's going to have problems. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So you might have to have a think about that one, Moyes. Midfield will probably be Paqueta, Souček and Rice, which is by far like a really strong midfield if we're going to use it as a three-man midfield. The three-man attack, I think Antonio picks himself because he's been brilliant recently for us. I will say that. Jared Bowen. The left-hand side, even though I do back Ben Rama up, I don't think this is the game for Benny. I think this is a game for either Pablo Fornals, but he hasn't really got the pace. But he's got the passing range,
That's right.
or it's Maxwell Cornet for me. It's either one of them two. For me, he has to do that. If Trent's going to move inside midfield and start trying to play the sort of as like the fourth central midfielder sort of thing, to back up the midfield, then West Ham need to explore that left hand side, and like once they get the ball, spread the play straight over to the left hand side. Do you know what I'm saying? And hopefully it'll work in our favour. Do you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, if I was you, I'd be playing Cornet just for that pace factor, really. I think Liverpool in transition this year have been quite poor. It's obviously we've only just recently even though Trent, as a neutral, you probably watch Liverpool all of yous. Trent, when he's played right back, he's played right back in a back four. But now, over the last couple of weeks, he's transitioned into that six, and it just gives him a lot more license. He come through the academy as a midfielder. He was converted into a right back. Hence why say if he was a right back that come through the academy for the best part of 18 years, it'd be much better defending 1v1s. But he's a midfielder by trade, and you can very much see that by his game.
Yeah, listen, I agree, mate. I agree. It's going to be an interesting game, though. I will say that. And if West Ham do turn up in this one, which they seem to do, one thing I will say, when they do play Liverpool, and before I get to the predictions, when we played Arsenal the other week, I said it would not surprise me if West Ham turn up in this game. Like, because it's just West Ham always turn up against the big six at home. Away from home, it's pointless.
Oh, don't mention our away form, mate. You've probably seen it. Like And I mentioned that kit before we come on here. There's a stat for you, everyone. Good omen if you like your omens. Liverpool haven't won it in that white kit all season in the league. It's ridiculous. Like, it is. No Liverpool fan will be all putting that top in the bin anyway, because it's bad hoodoo, really.
You watch Enter West Ham to change the fortunes. You know what I mean? Jack, give me your sort of predictions and how you see the game going from your point of view.
It depends what Liverpool turn up, mate.
Yeah.
That Forest game from a defensive point of view, I don't know have you got any long throwing specialists?
We will be going that way, I think.
Yeah.
Because I noticed when we've done that against Arsenal, in the second half. That's why in the second half we sort of nullified Tierney when we played Arsenal a few weeks ago. Yeah. We stopped Tierney from running into sort of midfield because all the balls kept going over to his side, so he had to keep moving over because he couldn't be two places at once. And then obviously long balls, throw-ins, corners, everything. Yeah.
We're an absolute mess, mate. Like, don't get me started on Van Dijk. We'll be here for 24 hours anyway. It's a shocking season. Not just him, but a lot of the players, but mainly him. I'd say be exploiting that. I'd go with. I'm not confident, and I'm going to go 1-0 Liverpool because it wouldn't surprise me, mate, if you beat us tomorrow. I want to be positive. I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but we have been so inconsistent away from home. But if we can get a result, it'd be great, but wouldn't count me chickens, really. So I'll go 1-0 Liverpool. Proper slogfest of a game, but you can definitely exploit us on throw-ins, ideally, and, of course, the set-piece height.
Yeah. What am I going to go with on this one? For me, West Ham are improving. Yeah. But the problem is with West Ham now, West Ham are caught between like two stools, basically. On the one hand, you got the Premier League and you got the conference. Now, the conference don't kick off for another sort of 3-4 weeks, but some of our players, we want to start resting these players and like sort of getting them prepared for the semi-final. Do you know what I'm saying? If he goes with the same team and takes Ben Rama out and he does go with Cornet, I think we get a positive result. I actually think this is a banker draw for me. Like I think this has got a draw nailed on. I think West Ham will turn up, give a good account of themselves because they're playing well. Liverpool always seem to play well when they come down to the LS. Like every time they play at the LS, it's always a high tempo, fast game. I don't think this will be a boring game at all. So I'm actually going to go for the scoreline. I said preview. I'm going to say a 2-2. I think there's goals in this game all day, and I think if West Ham win this game, it will be. I think we'll literally confirm safety there and then. Yeah. If West Ham do draw this game, it's not the end of the world. Like it really ain't. But
still a point. That'd still be a big point for you, mate, especially coming against us. It'd be a point that, of course, you'd like to go into every game, but when you go against the big teams, the top, especially the top four, it's more or less a free hit. But yeah, we're weird, mate. Like we are very strange in terms of our record against the top 6 sides this season. Exceptional, but it's the Jack. I think both sides have been so Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what teams going to turn up. In all honesty, and I think I'd probably agree. You know what? I'll change it to a 2-2. I'd agree with you, mate, because both of our teams' defenses are literally all over the place this season.
Yeah, so, I think it'd be like I'll be honest with you, like I can't see it being anything other than goals on Wednesday night. I really can't. Jack, before we go, let's talk about obviously relegation. Let's talk about a few of these teams down there. Obviously, we've been down there. I believe we're going to get out of it. Like I'm more confident now than I was say 2 weeks ago. Who's going down this year for you?
Oh, we were saying before we come on air, mate, weren't we? It's Southampton. If you would have got those extra 2 points against Arsenal this week, would have been very interesting. Would have blew the whole bloody relegation scrap wide open. I've got to say, Forest, mate, it's an absolute mess. Not that it pains me, but I think it would be bad for the city of Liverpool. Of course, like for any city, having 2 big Premier League teams in, but they were very fortunate last season, Everton, to not go down. If it wasn't for that protester running on against Newcastle, attaching himself to the post, he was their player of the season. I'm going to go Everton. I can't see it, as I said. They come to Anfield a couple of weeks ago anyway. I went to that game. And that is one of the worst Everton performances. There was no fight. Like when you've played Chelsea or like obviously all your London teams, you've got to, regardless of how poor you are playing, you've got to put at least bare minimum 100% effort in, otherwise you'll get absolutely tonked. But I'm going to go Everton. I'm going to go Leeds. So I'll go Southampton, Leeds, and Everton. I think Bournemouth might just have enough, but it's so tight down there, mate. Anyone can go. Even Wolves. Wolves are a weird team, but I wouldn't put it past them because they are probably, they are one of the lowest scoring teams down there, this season anyway. So if they don't start, it's not that they don't miraculously start scoring goals. But yeah, usually be safe, mate. You only need 3, 4, 5 points. What's that? A win and 2 draws for you this season. You should be sound.
Yeah, and I said it the other week on here on E20 with all the lads. I said the week that we had with the Southampton, Newcastle, and Fulham game, I said that them 3 games will tell me where West Ham are headed. I asked for 7 points out of them games. I got 6, and I was over the moon. Obviously, the Newcastle game was an absolute battering, but we was. It was like we was the makers of our own downfall in that game, right? Mistakes and the stupid errors and.
Newcastle have done that to a lot of teams, though, mate. They've been exceptional. Right?
Yeah, and they've been pretty good this year. And obviously, we know how to sort of grind games out. And obviously, Europe's helped. But I do think the Arsenal game has sparked West Ham into life to a point where West Ham now believe that they can compete. I think beforehand, West Ham were when West Ham used to concede a goal, we was all sitting there thinking, how many is it going to be? And now it just seems like they've opened their eyes and say, you know what, we can compete with it with one of the best teams in the country at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Southampton. I'm with you on that all day long. I think I've called Nottingham Forest from day one. I think Nottingham Forest will go. The last spot is an interesting one because it could be like, I think Leicester, Dean Smith in charge. I don't know. I think Leeds will have the home fans there to get them out of trouble. I think Leeds will just about get out of it. So I think it's out of Leicester and Everton for me. And I'm going to say, I think Leicester go. I really do. I think Everton will just survive again. Yeah, just by the skin of their teeth, mate. And I do mean by the skin of their teeth. Like, I think Leeds will get out of it. I think Everton will get out of it. I think Leicester might, because Leicester have got a lot of games coming up against the teams that they're playing against, like down there. And I
big 6 pointers, isn't it?
Yeah. And if they don't win them games, then I think they're gone. I really do. So, do you know what I'm saying?
The maddest ones if Southampton start picking up points, mate.
Yeah.
For everyone down there, like you do wonder what that result against Arsenal. You should have won that game. I don't know where the referee pulled what felt like 50 minutes out of his ass. It's mad, mate. But and that just goes on to show what we were saying at the top of the show, mate, in terms of all the quality of the managers and the teams and the amount of money that is in the Premier League. Not just even in the top 4 teams, you're looking 6 downwards, really, when you get into the 10, 12 teams. You've got a lot of money. The capital, obviously ownership structure. That's probably another show for another night. But it'll be interesting, mate. And I'll be keeping an eye on your lads in Europe. I hope you do it. Do the English boys proud anyway in Europe. Apart from when City play, I'll be open Hala Madrid. I think we all will.
Might as well talk about the Premier League. Obviously, the top half of the Premier League and who's going to win the Premier League. Obviously, Wednesday night, Man City, Arsenal, big game. For me, I think Man City are like a train that no one can just stop in a minute. I really do. I think like the way they dismantled Bayern Munich, like with ease, and Bayern Munich are a pretty decent side. You know what I'm saying? With some of their players, and they just swept them aside. I know it's going to pain you to say it, but are Man City going to win the league this year?
Yes, and most likely will win the Champions League this season. They would eventually then win it. Like this notion of it was against the world. It's great when you can whack about 2 billion on your team in the space of 10 years. It's crying all City. Like there's a lot of great Sound City fans there, but it's this notion of them doing it against all the odds. My ass. They'll win the Champions League, and I think once they get that first European Cup, that mental block that has persisted at the football club for a very long time. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, it winds up City fans that they haven't won a European Cup, but I think they will do it this season. You look at the other side of the draw, AC Milan, Napoli absolutely bottled it in Europe. They destroyed us in our group. You would have anticipated them to bloody fly, but Arsenal. I know probably you've got a lot of Arsenal mates anyway, and they were quite boisterous, weren't they, this season? And all this notion over the last couple of years, Arsenal fans were going when Liverpool and Jürgen was speaking about injuries over the last couple of years. Arteta's said the exact same thing this season, but when the shoe's on the other foot, does it really fit? I know the excuses are coming out. I think Saka, I'd love Saka at Liverpool, or I think he's gone to Liverpool or City in a couple of years because he's a very talented player. But City are probably, they've won the League Cup already, haven't they? So, no, that was United. But they'll win the Prem and they'll most likely win the Champions League. But Haaland, and it was mad. I found it mad that people this season were saying Haaland wouldn't do well in the Premier League. He's gobbling up the goals. Pep's been subbing him off at half time when he's been on a hat trick. It's like you do wonder what this fella could do if he actually played the majority of all the minutes. It'd be easy on 50, 60 goals in the Prem already.
I'll be honest with you. I think the way Pep's handled the sort of rotation, like obviously they've got the Champions League, they've got the Premier League, they've got the FA Cup, they've got 3 competitions where they could do the sort of domestic sort of, the main treble sort of thing. You know what I mean? And I think they do it this year. I really do. I look at them and I think in the Champions League against Real Madrid, tricky, because you know what Real Madrid are like. They're the kings of this competition. They know how to win the European competitions.
You just don't die. Like, what was it last year? The Chelsea was in the final. City dominated them, but Haaland. That's why I mentioned City. You've got the fella that can score 5 goals in 40 minutes for them.
That does help. It does help. But you know what I'm saying? Like, when I look at them, I look at Real Madrid. I think out of the sort of 3 competitions, Real Madrid is the one team that could stop City from the treble, basically. You know what I mean? I think they beat Arsenal on Wednesday, and not only do they beat Arsenal, I think they beat Arsenal well. I think they make a statement of intent to say, you know what, we're the big dogs and yous are like the pretenders, basically. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just that comment, just seeing Wes, thank you for your comment, mate. Yeah, I definitely wasn't comparing him to Nunes, mate. The only player that compares to potentially Haaland, there's only one man, Kylian Mbappe. Both of them are absolutely ridiculous. You look at Haaland's record, and that's the thing. People, especially on Twitter, they'll try and compare narratives. No one compares to what Haaland's doing in world football. Not even a young Leo Messi at his age. He's broken a European record. I think he's probably like 20-30 goals ahead of Messi, even at the age of 22, 23, Haaland. But he'll probably go to Real Madrid in a couple of years. But if he stays at City, he'll probably definitely win a Ballon d'Or in the next couple of years.
He'd do Alan Shearer's Premier League record and all, which is like 200 goals.
He'll probably even win the Ballon d'Or potentially this coming season anyway, or this coming year. Wouldn't surprise me if he continues scoring the goals anyway. But
we will see what happens there. Jack, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no, pleasure, mate. And best of luck this season as well, Hammers. And in Europe, I'll be keeping an eye on. And also thank you, Jay, for having me on. And,
no worries at all, mate.
Have a good night, mate.
No worries at all. That's been Jack. Go and follow him on his channel. Trust me, Anfield Road. He does a lot of good stuff, mate. I've watched a few stuff on there. He talks to a lot of fans, and I'll be honest with you, he's just like us.
I know we're a Liverpool fan channel, but I do a lot of European watch-alongs. I'll be doing one for your lads anyway. You've got a load of Hammers, loads of United City, a bit of everything. Anyway, but don't take myself too serious, as you know. But just like one of you talking about the footy and that. And big
that's it, mate. That's it. Anyway, please do smash the like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I will be back Wednesday night. I'll be doing an after-thought player ratings on the game, and I'll be talking about if West Ham have got a positive result against Liverpool. It's going to be a good game, trust me. This is a free hit for West Ham, in my opinion. And I feel a lot easier now than I did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, you'd have asked me, what do you think on West Ham? I'd be nervous about this game, but I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a good game, and whatever happens on the night.
I'll pop on, mate, anyway, even if we get tonked. I'll be here. So good.
But before I go, I will say this: I'll be on Jack's channel tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, Tuesday night. So do check that out on there. Anyway, from me, have a good Monday evening. I'll see you again in the next one. Take care. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.